Welcome back to Section F, everyone. I am so pumped to have you here today. As your instructor, my absolute top priority is making sure you walk into that testing center feeling completely confident and prepared. So today we're tackling a super high-yield topic, data visualization. Now, let's just set the record straight right out of the gate. On the CMA Part 1 exam, data visualization is absolutely not tested as some sort of, art class exercise. The ICMA is testing your ability to make strategic decisions. They want to see if you can pick the exact right visual for specific financial data, spot visual distortions, and build executive interfaces that are actually ready for decision-making. It's all about clarity, truth, and strategy. We're not just here to make things look pretty.
Here's a quick roadmap for our explainer today. We'll kick things off with a strategy of data, dive into a chart selection guide, lay out some core dashboard design principles, learn how to spot those tricky visual distortions, and then we'll wrap it all up with a practice question walkthrough. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The strategy of data, bridging raw analysis and executive action. To truly grasp why this stuff matters so much for the exam, put yourself in a real-world scenario for a second. Imagine you're walking into the boardroom to present the quarterly performance to your CFO. You really have two choices. You could hand them a dense, 50-row financial table just packed with thousands of raw numbers. Or you could present a crisp, interactive KPI dashboard that instantly highlights exactly why net margins dropped by 3%. Which one of those formats is going to lead to faster, better decisions? Well, it's the dashboard, obviously. Data visualization is that critical bridge between raw analysis and executive action. And the exam? It's going to test whether you know how to build that bridge the right way.
Moving right along to Section 2, Chart Selection Guide, the CMA Chart Selection Matrix.
So one of the most common ways the ICMA tests this topic is simply by asking which chart type is most appropriate for a specific accounting message. This matrix we're looking at is basically your cheat sheet for exam day. Let's walk through it. First up, the bar or column chart. This is your go-to for comparing discrete categories. Think comparing sales revenue across 5 different product lines. Next is the line chart. You're going to use this one strictly for showing continuous trends over time, like tracking monthly production volume across a 2-year period. Then we have the waterfall chart. Listen, this one is huge for accountants. It shows how an initial value is affected by a series of positive and negative intermediate steps. The absolute classic CMA example is reconciling gross revenue all the way down to net income by stepping through COGS, operating expenses, and taxes. Moving down, the scatter plot. This is all about relationships. It shows the correlation between 2 continuous variables. So imagine plotting machine hours against total utility costs to figure out cost behavior. Then there's the box plot, sometimes called a box and whisker plot. Use this for data distribution, finding medians, and, most importantly, spotting outliers. Like if you are analyzing the variance in invoice processing times across all your company branches. Finally, the pie chart. This is for showing proportions of a whole, and the golden rule here is it literally must sum to exactly 100%. Keep it to 5 categories or fewer, like a percentage breakdown of operating expenses by department. All right, the real secret here is knowing how to trigger the right chart in your mind instantly. I like to call these Claire's exam shortcuts. When you're sitting in that testing center and your eyes hit the phrase reconciling line items, your brain should immediately scream waterfall chart. If the question asks about checking correlation or cost behavior, lock right in on scatter plot. Trends over time? Line chart. Looking for outliers and statistical distribution? Boom, box plot. If you just memorize these exact keyword pairings, I promise you'll scoop up some really quick, easy points on test day. Okay, Section 3, Dashboard Design Principles, Building Decision-Ready Interfaces. You're doing amazing so far. Now let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture. The exam defines a dashboard as a visual interface for monitoring real-time metrics and KPIs. But to build a truly effective one, you have to follow 3 golden rules. Rule number 1, high signal-to-noise ratio. Basically, don't make your audience overthink it. You want to maximize your data ink ratio. That means ditch the unnecessary grid lines, stop using 3D effects, drop the distracting backgrounds, and clear out redundant labels. Every single drop of ink should be communicating data. Rule number 2, logical layout and visual hierarchy. In the Western world, we read in an F pattern, right? Top left to bottom right. Because of that, your absolute most critical high-level KPIs have to live in the top left. The detailed breakdowns and secondary trends, push those to the center and the bottom. And rule number 3, consistency and color integrity. Look, color has to be used purposefully. We aren't just splashing 10 random colors on a screen to make it pop. You use color to communicate. A perfect example, reserve red strictly for negative variances or warnings, and use green only for favorable outcomes. Section 4, Visual Traps and Distortions, Spotting the ICMA's Trick Questions. All right, team, lean in close for this one. The ICMA loves, and I mean loves, to test your technical awareness by slipping visual distortion traps into the questions. You need to know exactly how to spot them. Here are two massive traps you are almost guaranteed to see. First, the truncated y-axis. This is when a chart's baseline starts above zero. Let's say it starts at $90,000 instead of zero. What happens? It visually exaggerates a tiny 2% revenue bump and makes it look like this massive 500% spike. It completely manipulates the viewer's perception of reality. The second trap is perspective distortion. This creeps in when you use 3D charts, like a 3D pie or bar chart. That artificial perspective warps the visual area, meaning the data slices near the front magically look mathematically way larger than the slices pushed to the back. It's incredibly misleading, and as management accountants, we have to avoid it at all costs. And our final warning on distortions: inappropriate aggregation. Please watch out for this. If you take highly volatile daily spikes and just average them out into a smooth annual line, you are actively hiding extreme risk and covering up critical operational bottlenecks. Your job is to illuminate the truth, guys, not smooth over a company's deep-rooted problems with a broad mathematical brush. Let's bring it all together in Section 5. Practice question walkthrough, testing your knowledge. Okay, you've got the framework, you know the shortcuts, and you know how to dodge those traps. Let's empower you right now by putting all that into action with the highly realistic CMA Part 1 exam question. Here we go. A cost accountant wants to present a visual reconciliation to senior executive management, showing how the company's $5 million gross budget allocation was reduced step by step by various operating expenses, unfavorable variances, and tax obligations to arrive at a net operating income of $1.2 million. Which of the following data visualization tools is most appropriate for this purpose? Now, before we even look at the options, did you catch those vital exam keywords? Visual reconciliation and step-by-step. Let's meticulously break down the options. Option A is a scatter plot. Well, based on our shortcuts, we know that's incorrect because scatter plots show correlations between two continuous variables, not sequential step-by-step reductions. Option B is a waterfall chart. Ding, ding, ding. This is correct. A waterfall chart is designed specifically to illustrate how an initial starting value, like our $5 million budget, is impacted by a series of additions and deductions to finally reach an end result. Just to be absolutely thorough, let's check the others. Option C, the box plot, is incorrect, because that's for data distributions and outliers. And option D, the stacked pie chart, is incorrect, because pie charts just show static parts of a whole. They don't show sequential financial flow. So, by relying on our trusty keyword shortcuts, we can confidently lock in option B. You made incredible progress in this explainer today, and I am so proud of the focus you're bringing to this material. As you push forward with your exam prep, keep these core rules in mind. Always match your chart to the specific accounting question, keep those executive dashboards completely clutter-free, and always check for those sneaky truncated axes. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought, not just for the exam, but for your actual career. The next time you sit down to build a dashboard for your management team, ask yourself, do your financial reports actually illuminate the truth, or are they just hiding the real story in all that noise? Keep practicing those questions, keep pushing yourselves, and I will see you in our next module.